Part 1. Meursault learns of the death of his mother, who has been living in an old age home in the country. He takes off time from work to attend her funeral, but seems to show no signs of grief or mourning to the people around him. When asked if he wishes to view her body, he declines, and he smokes and drinks regular white coffee, not the obligatory black coffee, at the vigil held by the coffin the night before the burial. Back in Algiers, Meursault encounters Marie, a former secretary of his firm. The two become reacquainted, swim together, watch a comedy film, and begin to have an intimate relationship. All of this happens on the day after his mother's funeral. Over the next few days, Meursault helps Raymond Sintès, a neighbor and friend who is rumored to be a pimp, but says he works in a warehouse to get revenge on a Moorish girlfriend he suspects has been accepting gifts and money from another man. Raymond asks Meursault to write a letter inviting the girl over to Raymond's apartment, solely that he can have sex with her, and then spit in her face and throw her out. While listening to Raymond, Meursault is unfazed by any feelings of empathy, does not express concern that she would be emotionally hurt by this plan, and agrees to write the letter. The girl visits Raymond on a Sunday morning, and the police get involved when he beats her for slapping him after he tries to kick her out. He asks Meursault to testify that the girl has been unfaithful when he is called to the police station, and Meursault agrees. Ultimately, Raymond is let off with a warning. While this is going on, Meursault's boss asks him if he would like to work at a branch their firm is thinking about opening in Paris, and Marie asks him if he wants to get married. In both cases, Meursault does not have strong feelings about the matter, but is willing to move or get married if it will please the other party. Also, Salamano, Meursault and Raymond's old neighbor, loses his abused and diseased dog, and despite outwardly maintaining his usual spiteful and uncaring attitude toward the creature, goes to Meursault for comfort and advice a few times. During one of these conversations, Salamano, who adopted the dog as a companion shortly after his wife's death, mentions that some neighbors had said nasty things about Meursault after he sent his mother to a retirement home. Meursault is surprised to learn about this negative impression of his actions. One weekend, Raymond invites Meursault and Marie to a friend's beach cabin. There, they see the brother of Raymond's spurned girlfriend along with another Arab, who Raymond has mentioned have been following him around recently. The Arabs confronts Raymond and his friend, and the brother wounds Raymond with a knife before running away. Later, Meursault walks back along the beach alone, armed with a revolver he took from Raymond to prevent him from acting rashly, and encounters the brother of Raymond's girlfriend. Disoriented and on the edge of heatstroke, Meursault shoots when the Arab flashes his knife at him. It is a fatal shot, but Meursault shoots the man 4 more times after a pause. Part 2. Meursault is incarcerated. His general detachment and ability to adapt to any external circumstances seems to make living in prison tolerable, especially after he gets used to the idea of being restricted and unable to have sex with Marie. Although he does realize at one point that he has been unknowingly talking to himself for a number of days. For almost a year, he sleeps, looking out the small window of his cell, and mentally lists the objects in his old apartment while waiting for his day in court. Meursault never denies the murder he committed, so at his trial, the prosecuting attorney focuses more on his inability or unwillingness to cry at his mother's funeral than on the details of the murder. He portrays Meursault's quietness and passivity as demonstrating his criminality and lack of remorse, and denounces Meursault as a soulless monster who deserves to die for his crime. Although several of Meursault's friends testify in his behalf, and his attorney tells him the sentence will likely be light, Meursault is sentenced to be publicly decapitated. Put in a new cell, Meursault obsesses over his impending doom and appeal, and tries to imagine some way in which he can escape his fate. He refuses to see the prison chaplain, but one day, the chaplain visits him anyway. Meursault says he does not believe in God, and is not even interested in the subject, but the chaplain persists in trying to lead Meursault away from atheism, or perhaps more precisely, apatheism. The chaplain believes Meursault's appeal will succeed in getting him released from prison, but says such an outcome will not get rid of his feelings of guilt or fix his relationship with God. Eventually, Meursault accosts the chaplain in a rage. He attacks the chaplain's worldview and patronizing attitude that asserts that, in confronting the certainty of the nearness of his death, he has had insights about life and death that he feels with a confidence beyond what the chaplain possesses. He says that, although what we say or do or feel can cause our deaths to happen at different times or under different circumstances, none of those things can change the fact that we are all condemned to die one day, so nothing ultimately matters. After the chaplain leaves, Meursault finds some comfort in thinking about the parallels between his situation and how he thinks his mother must have felt while being surrounded by death and slowly dying at the retirement home. Yelling at the chaplain had emptied him of all hope or thoughts of escape or successful appeal. So he manages to open his heart to the benign indifference of the universe and decides that he has been, and still is, happy. His indifference to the universe makes him feel like he belongs to it. He even hopes there will be a large hateful crowd at his execution, which will bring everything to a consummate end.